It is in human nature to try to classify or explain things before really getting to know something. We often try to classify new encounters into pre-existing categories that we have some sort of familiarity with. For example, in my case, as a healthcare worker, I become nervous whenever I encounter a new elderly, since in my experience, they tend to be impatient and bitter. Hollow Knight took advantage of this. In the beginning, the game is very ambiguous as to what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to accomplish. The only information that is known is that as the protagonist, you're about to commence on an adventure that many have gone on and not returned. Let us take a step back and take a look at Hollow Knight's inspiration, Dark Souls. Why was Dark Souls so successful? On the surface, one might say due to its difficulty, but that is not true. The Axeman has made a whole video on this, so I won't be diving too deep, but in my opinion, one of the main reasons why the Dark Souls series was so successful was due to its ambiguity. In summary, the game itself started without really any purpose besides setting on an adventure and ringing 2 bells. Dark Souls needed to be played over and over again for the player to fully grasp what is going on, while giving the player the freedom to make reasonable speculations to complete the lore. There is a reason why a whole community is dedicated to explain and speculate lore of Dark Souls. Hollow Knight took advantage of this element. They start your journey off without any specific mission, thus giving the player freedom to reflect as they are adventuring through the very well created level designs. As I stated before, we try to explain or label things before fully understanding them, thus this type of atmosphere creates a very engaging experience where the player constantly tries to put the pieces together with every new item description, dialogue, or restless spirit they encounter. It is not until halfway through until the game starts showing you more concrete evidence on what is going on around you. I have realized that I appreciate games that have this ambiguity. Now be aware that this is a risky move. If not done right, the ambiguity can hurt the player experience more than it can help, just like how a bad executed humor can ruin a good speech. My second reason is relatability. We are often attracted to things that we can relate to. Hollow Knight is about a kid adventuring into the unknown with little to no information. I relate to this, and I bet many of you also do. In my case, I was born and raised in a third world country and moved to the United States at the age of 13 with barely speaking any English. When I started high school, I experienced a great amount of culture shock and felt pretty alone at times. Just like our protagonist, I took a journey to a place that I had no previous knowledge of. For many others, this relatability could easily be about how one starts their journey into adolescence. I'm sure for most of us, adolescence was pretty rough as our body started to overreact and go through some pretty big changes. I believe the theme of Hollow Knight has subconsciously captured the interest of many gamers because they can relate to the situation. Just like how our protagonist starts their journey as a young kid and slowly grows in power, we also relate to that as most of us have gone through adolescence. I'm not going to dive into this because I do not want this video to become a psychology course, but of course adolescence is not the only reason that one can relate to this game. Thus, if you have another reason, feel free to let me know in the comment section as I am truly interested. To my understanding, Hollow Knight was hand-drawn by a team of 3 people. That itself is spectacular as it's easily apparent in the very well-designed levels, character designs, and animations. But what it also brings is a special connection between the player and the game. As of 2021, my goal has been to explore a variety of games, and one thing that I have realized about games that I enjoy is the immersion. A hand-drawn game like Hollow Knight is easily capable of transferring the world that lies within Team Cherry's head on the screen where millions of players like me get to experience. It is a bit like traveling, except you're not physically going anywhere. These types of connections are often priceless and are a very good reason why I did not give up despite dying more than 10 times in certain spots or boss fights. Feeling a bit like how Meruem felt when he could not beat Komoji in Gonji. I hope I pronounced that right. But take it as you will, but Hollow Knight has been the only game since Dark Souls that has given me the weird feeling of defeat but enjoyment at the same time. This also may be because I have not tried many other games, since the vast majority of my gaming life has been spent on games like League, CSGO, and other competitive games. Now let's talk about SilkSong. For those of you who might not be familiar with what SilkSong is the sequel to Hollow Knight, with Hornet as the protagonist, which is likely to be released later this year. I am personally very excited for the release of SilkSong, despite having a bit of skepticism deep down. The skepticism is due to the insecurities I have built up within the past decade from watching many titles not living up to their expectations. Despite my skepticism, a bigger part of me believes that SilkSong will be even better than what I'm hoping for. Ambiguity, relatability, and immersion were the core part of Hollow Knight that drew me in, and it would be pretty difficult to mess those up. Thus, I believe that if anything, since Team Cherry is even more experienced now, just like how my videos on my channel are improving with every upload, so has their new sequel. With that said, sometimes I think about how life would be much better if we did not have expectations from things that are not in our control. But alas, it is human nature to have hope despite resisting the urge. I hope you all have enjoyed my video, and I wish you all a lovely day or night.